Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Sorry about that. Apologies. If you heard an additional voice, it was someone asking me a question that snuck up on me. So, ignore that, please. In any case, it's really hot today. Like, very much. Very warm in here. This has been a really strange spring. It was like nice and cool. Oh, the music's still way too loud. Hold on. A little bit less. I think that's fine. But anyway, yeah, it's like fucking. This is in the late high 90s today. I found low hundreds, and I was like, oh, what the hell? Where'd that come from? Last week was nice and cool. And then I'm looking at midweek. Next week is looking pretty nice and cool. Yes, I am talking about the weather right now. I know that's horrible. But nonetheless, if you see that I'm sweaty and gross, it's likely because of these reasons. Anyway, welcome. As usual. I already lost 2 of you. That was quick. For the record. Let's see. So, what I wanted to discuss today was a little bit about what I'm talking about, what I'm hoping others think it means when they say, and I'm guessing a lot of psychologists think when they say improving when it comes to the schizoid, right? Oftentimes, if you look at the literature, it'll state that it could take years and years and years. As things are, the way they approach it, and how the practice deals with it, yeah, it probably would. I have my complaints. But, nonetheless, it is a long and arduous process. It doesn't have to be a decade. And no, if you're already in your 30s, the 20 years of self-help you've been doing does not count as part of, you know, the goal to improve when it comes to, especially the negative symptoms and things like that, and the core issues associated with it. And the reason I say that is because a lot of schizoids basically they seek answers in like the goofiest places, in my opinion. They'll go all eggs in the basket every time they find something that makes them feel things. They find something that temporarily relieves them of some of their kind of existential void and emptiness and anguish and so on. And they'll latch onto that for dear life. And then when that doesn't work out, when that honeymoon period starts not working out too great, they jump right back into these cycles of looking for meaning in like this book, this idea, this philosophy, this particular angle within psychology. And, you know, they may find stuff that improves a symptom or a particular issue, but most of the time they tend to do this thing where they'll find something relieves something a little bit, and then they'll go, this is the key, this is the answer, this must be the thing that I've been missing this whole time. This is the panacea. This is the Holy Grail, the Golden Fleece. The answers that I've been craving regarding my place in all of this. What meaning I can derive from it. Yeah, that's when you start going into some pretty goofy territory. I've seen a lot of schizoids over the years, and I've seen a lot of schizoids in general. Do this thing, and I'm guilty of it myself, especially in my 20s. Do this thing where they'll like, what's the best way to put it? They'll go from periods of years where they like search, and then other years in which they resign themselves, and vice versa. Usually over time, the resignation increases, and the desperation sort of decreases to some degree. But the emptiness, a feeling of emptiness, is like consistent in there. That if anything increases over time, even if the existential sort of anguish maybe for some decreases with age. Unfortunately, that anguish, that pain, is oftentimes a pretty good motivator to wanting to make improvements to one's existence. And so when resignation increases, well, they kind of just hit like this state of like, well, I can't feel how bad it is anymore, so I guess it's fine. Even though I don't like this hole in my chest. But what can you do? It's always going to be there forever and ever. So on and so forth. Well, I mean, maybe you were depressed, Withers, but I mean, that's why we always bugged you to give them a shot. Because if they don't do shit, then well, you'll know after like a few months. Then you can try something else. Just a matter of being able to write out side effects. Unless they're extremely bad, which is rare, they're usually manageable in most cases. That was my experience and much of what I've heard most. Anyway, another thing I see a lot with schizoids is that some of them will, they might have like other comorbidities or something, but I'll see Zoids that go through bouts of mania. I think that's probably an unrelated issue, but it's just coinciding. So they might have mood instability or a mood disorder or a mood issue. But if it's only like once, it might just be an episode of something happening with them. But if it's something that like every so often, they go, huzzah, the answer, I found it. And then when it doesn't turn out to be the answer, it just like plummets into like a hypo kind of manic situation. But yeah, I've seen that more than once where a schizoid will go from like a complete flatliner to like one day I woke up and the world just changed. It must have been the MDMA I tried last night. Or it must have been that those mushrooms, or that LSD, or that DMT trip, or something. Or it must have been because, like, I was doing shadow work and I unlocked the truth inside my soul, or something. And so they'll have, like, this manic episode, and, like, it's tough to watch for me because I've seen it happen a bunch of times. The reason it's tough to watch is because it's, like, fucking depressing. Because I've seen them also hit rock bottom after that episode hits, or make really piss poor decisions during that time, or hype themselves up too much, only to feel the weight of disappointment, and so on and so forth. Yeah, I had mentioned this in a comment, but I said if you wake up one day and you don't, like, you've been schizoid for a long time, and or whatever, most of your life or whatever, and then one day you wake up, all of a sudden the world just clears up, unless it's like a divine intervention or some kind of like weird thermodynamic miracle or something that's happening exclusively to you. You're probably manic. You probably weren't a schizoid and had like just years-long depression that somehow cleared up, or I don't know. I don't know what else. You're heavily medicated or something. Yeah. Like that doesn't fucking happen. That doesn't fucking happen. I don't care what fucking life experience you have. I don't care if you fucking survived almost falling off a cliff and you saw Jesus. I'll tell you right now, if someone is a schizoid, they are not. No single event is going to snap them out of it, make them see the light, the beauty of the world. Fill the void entirely, right? It's just, that's not how that shit works. This shit is a process. It requires a lot of experimentation and support. Something is fundamentally wrong with me. There's no getting better. That's like a meme around here. In the sense that, like, Well, it's not funny, but it just gets said so fucking often. It's like a mantra. I swear to God. And so like I find it incredibly depressing when I see this kind of like I don't know, call them delusional states or because I wouldn't call it delusion, well, except for the fact that like a lot of Zoids are in so much like unhappiness with the lack of meaning in their lives that that like I can't sympathize with latching onto something that feels like it could be meaning. Instead of like really being cautious and wary of where their head's at and what's going on, and then just immediately thinking, "Oh, I found it! I found the answer." There is no answer. There are answers. There are questions. There are paths. They require time. They require effort. They require support. You cannot do it by yourself. You will, and if you did, then hats off, buddy. 1 in a million. You're 1 in a million, kid. But yes, you will not improve this condition, these issues, by yourself. That will never happen. That will not happen. I don't know if some people find it disturbing or mean or whatever. It won't happen. You cannot do this by yourself. You cannot read books and then like suddenly fucking improve so much shit about what makes your existence particularly uncomfortable, harrowing, empty, whatever word you like. You need people. As disgusting as that may often seem. I say tongue-in-cheek. But how do we need people? That's a real question. That's what's not asked. What is it that someone that has this issue needs or requires of people when there's a consistent feeling that it is not a requirement? Well, it is some of those things that, because of our issues, we cannot even recognize. It is the inability to recognize the use of us attempting to connect, because it ultimately feels futile, pointless, consistent failure, whatever. When we haven't been shown possibilities that could exist. Because they do. They do exist. Connection is possible. It's just probably not going to look anything like what anybody else does when it comes to that. It's not going to be going out and playing beach volleyball with the bros. It's not going to be finding a really cool GF, MBF. It's not going to be having kids. Some of those things might help somebody, for sure. I know it helped me, but it sure as shit isn't going to be, fixing everything. There is no one fix. There is no one piece. It is not real. Okay. So what is real? It's more like 1001 Nights, or something like where you have to grind quite a bit, and you have to put yourself in uncomfortable positions and places quite a bit. Not uncomfortable in like the normally draining or frustrating way. Uncomfortable in like the really, really scary, you're averse to intimacy kind of way. And when I say intimacy, I'm not talking about like, oh, let people in, tell them about your feelings. Like, I'm not talking about that. That's not what I'm saying. Because if you tell the wrong people about your feelings, or lack thereof at times, I would say most of the time that shit's going to backfire and not go too good. And oftentimes that's because what you're emotionally attached to or connected to is oftentimes going to be pretty strange, or unconventional, or something that other people consider kind of important, but not as important as this when it comes to relationships, when it comes to connection. Connection looks like this, right? That's not the shit I'm talking about when I'm saying this stuff. You are not one day going to be a normie. You are not one day going to be like everybody else. That will never happen. And that's okay, because I don't think you ever were. But can you get your own version of a somewhat meaningful and happy story? Yes. Abso-fucking-lutely. It can be done. And it's not going to look likely like anything the average person that in your family, or the average person in your peer group, or what you see on television, or what people discuss commonly on other Discord servers and things like that. It's probably going to look nothing like that. In fact, some of the parameters that might make for a happier life for a schizoid, and the ability to connect emotionally to another human being, it might actually require parameters that other people would consider unsustainable, or lacking. But for the schizoid would be ideal, comfortable, fulfilling, even, I dare say. So, schizoid improvement is being able to parse out what parts of you are just you, and you're fucking weird, and that's cool, and parts of you that are like ego dystonic, parts of you that literally make you feel as empty as you sometimes do, parts of you that are adaptations or defenses that even when something's presented to you, abuse of that you could potentially connect to, you already have in your back pocket the thought that it's not going to happen, and you're already like, and the more it seems like it could, the more you'll want to pull away, the more you'll want to just ghost or disappear, or the more you will criticize it. The moment you see something that shows evidence that it's just going to be just like every other time that you've experienced trying to connect with the world around you, that will be enough every time to write it off, to split on the very thing. Oftentimes schizoids don't split on people, they split on concepts, ideas. And I see that a lot. And oftentimes they use like intellectualization to make an argument for why that thing would have never worked, as if they were soothsayers, fortune tellers that know all their paths and all possibility in front of them. Again, when I say these are things that I have done, and I've seen done countless times at this point. If you guys have questions, just put them in chat. I fucking love questions. Otherwise, I'm prattling forever. I don't even notice when I loop back around. Soothsay. Soothsay. Right. So funny. What a fun word. Or term. Whatever it's called. But, yeah. It is, let's just say, I was able to... And I've heard this word get thrown around, and I really don't like it. Unzoid. Unzoiding. The reason I don't like it is because, like, it's such a broad term, and it's like, okay, like, what does that mean? What does that mean? Does that mean you can finally connect in some way? Or are you saying that, oh, you can finally connect like other people connect in the way they connect? Or are you saying that, like, your negative symptoms are, like, lessened and improving? But, uh, you know, the various parts of your personality that are mainly social are still intact. Like, what the fuck does that mean? My main question is, what is the overall thesis as to what improvement would be in your opinion? As in, we need to do connection with some besties. We need to be feeling the love doing those things. Yeah, it's called redefining what love is, redefining what besties is, redefining what friendship means, redefining what human connection is, in a way that actually makes sense with your weird ass. Finding the things that actually make sense and connecting to those things, and in that way, and being able to find people that understand them and they exist, and they're likely similar to yourself in a variety of ways. They might not necessarily be schizoid, but they're likely neurodivergent in some capacity. They're likely already outliers themselves. Oh yeah, absolutely. Team redefine. You know that. Fuck that. I don't need to work by their rules. I don't need to perceive the world around me in the way that people that are nothing like me perceive it. That's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, I'll tell you right now, I bet you most schizoids out there feel like the world's lost its fucking mind. Right? Like, let's just say outside, yeah, that's been my main goal, to find a woman myself. But outside of, let's just think of outside of interpersonal relationships, right? Let's just step outside. Let's go like okay, you're by yourself. There's no one bothering you. You're mostly self-sufficient. You know, maybe you have a job or something. You go to school, and you just live by yourself, and all the shit, right? All the shit that a Zoid would probably go like, yeah, I wish I had all those things, right? So two things that are really important about that. A lot of Zoids I've talked to that have all those things are not as happy or comfortable or content as you may assume. They're just not. I've seen so many times where someone that is maybe in their early 20s that does everything in their power to basically get away from their family members, their peers that they don't want to be around, and they just ghost everybody. And they live by themselves, and they have a stable job, right? All this sort of stuff. And they worked, what motivated them was to be in that situation. Once they arrive at the situation, then a new beast appears. Now they are not fighting to survive. Now they are not fighting for the hope and dream that this will be the end all, the fix that they needed. They just need to be alone, and the world would just be their oyster. No, it ends up oftentimes feeling pretty empty. Oftentimes being less stressful, right? They're less anxious, less stressful, but they still feel that kind of hole there. And the more years go by of them being alone, the more that hole expands. Yeah, the hermit thing works for a while, and then it goes poo-poo. It goes poo-poo after like a decade or something, maybe faster. Because then now instead of being like afraid and confused and angry, frustrated, engulfed or whatever, now that you're not busy with that, now you have all the time in the world to seek out all kinds of meaning and consistently feel like you're not finding any. Because before you had the excuse of people or things are in the way. Now that they're not in the way and you're still not finding jack shit that is consistent meaning wise, then all of a sudden you're just like, so yeah, it's been like 5, 6, 7 years, 10 years. Is this a skill issue? Excuse me, is this a skill issue? In a way, yeah. In a lot of other ways, no. It is an environmental issue, it's condition. No, it's an absolute ass strategy. Like I said, it's probably super good for like a few years. For some, it's a lot shorter. I've had Zoid that are younger, maybe in like mid-20s, that they'll like escape their situation, right? They'll fucking move to another country, away from everyone that's bothering them, go to college. Now they got the next 4 years, like, that they saved up money for, that they're like in an entirely different country. They don't fucking know anyone, right? So literally they can make the choice of like not establishing new unwanted connections. And then after like a year or two, they're just like, what's going on, man? Like, it's just you know? That's because a lot of the time, when a schizoid gets into that situation, they didn't actually do anything where they worked on the core issues or problems that ultimately made them feel like they do or did in a lot of situations. And now they have the time and energy to work on it, and they have no fucking idea what to do. Because there isn't very many good resources out there. Yeah, Deserter Island Syndrome hits. Yeah, but it's really funny. It's like, one thing I've noticed about Zoids is that if they go hermit mode for a long time, it's not like they suddenly start feeling like, oh my god, I wanna be friends with people. No, it's never that. It's more like, I'm not getting much pleasure and enjoyment out of all these things, and I'm still kind of in situations in which I gotta interact with people, and that just reminds me of that, and I hate it. But now I'm alone a lot, so I'm realizing that a lot of the stuff I do is just distractions and like cope. And when I really think about what I want to do with my life, it feels really hollow. And that's kind of fucking me up. Yeah. Think about it this way. Here, I'll give you something cool. Okay. I'm weird in the sense that, like, in my, like, mid-20s, or, well, late 20s, I ended up getting, like, married, and then I have kids, right? Getting married, first of all, I found a woman that is incredibly, different, in the sense that, she's not a schizoid, but, she's very, like, aloof, and, like, I don't need no man type of attitude. Like, oh, I want you, I want you, I don't need you. Which I always, that's why I liked her so much. Because that made me feel safe. They never made me feel engulfed. Because they always made sure, and it was always kind of a joke, but also, like, I knew it was, like, them and their stuff. It was always like, oh yeah, like, you can leave any time, I'll be fine. And, like, for me, that was attractive. For me, that was, like, awesome. Like, you don't need me. Sick. And that's ultimately what made me stay. And then eventually, it turned into something where I was like, oh, wait. We've created something in which we now need each other. But, everything that predated that event, children, already kind of established this idea of, like, oh, well, I'll survive, you'll survive, so we're making the choice to be together. And mock the stupid shit we don't like, and enjoy the cool shit that we do, and so on. Now, ultimately, there was, over time, problems, because her reasons for being kind of aloof and detached were very different than my own. And that's when things became a problem. That's when things became difficult. And it's improving significantly in the last bit of time here. But it did lead to a lot of problems. There was a fundamental misunderstanding as to why we both kind of said and behaved that way. because like she was averse to it for different reasons. So she was like, oh well, he's not doing the things that make me do. But then once I was safe enough to where the things that would feel weird to her would feel okay, I was doing them still. And I was confused. So I was like, wait, I thought you didn't like that stuff. What? Right? So we were just like under very different impressions after like a decade or longer, like 15 years. And more recently, we've kind of switched places in certain ways. It's kind of funny. It's weird. Anyway, even throughout all that, I always felt like empty. I always felt, and I felt shame for it, especially when I had my kids. I always felt like, what the fuck? Like, couldn't this be enough? Like, why do I still have like such a disconnect with the external world? Like, even now that I've been able to establish a connection with my children, why is it that the world itself is still so far away? It's still so empty. Why am I still grieving that emptiness? And that's because the core issues weren't dealt with. The core issues were not actually fixed. Being able to establish connections because of conditions that are just RNG is not the same as working on those issues in a deeper way. It's just not the same thing at all. And so I did not actually start working on those issues until about 4 years ago. The void is not endless. That's goofy. And that, I'm only saying that because I used to say that too. So 4 years ago is probably, or 5 years ago is probably when I started making any efforts. And that was only because I got lucky with my psychologist. I got lucky that I got an incredibly eclectic, incredibly like adaptable psychologist. She's fucking awesome. And she intuitively started doing a lot of the things with me that like people like Eleanor Greenberg, you know, various people, Nancy McWilliams, some of the stuff she says, like she started doing stuff that's like some of that stuff in that playbook, but she didn't even fucking read their stuff. So she's just really fucking talented. I just got lucky. I got an incredibly fucking talented psychologist with a fucking heart of gold and patience like no other. So she adapted to me, and she did not try to shape a book, a piece of literature around me. And that had been the first therapist or psychologist that I've ever had didn't do that. When I felt, I think what made it different is when I felt like they were guiding me in a way that I'm like, I would call it out and be like, nah, that's not gonna, I've done this one. This is what happened. That shit don't work. Reroll. And they would reroll. They wouldn't like say, let's keep on. No, they'd reroll. They'd be like, all right, let's try some other shit. Let's go. And we'd try other shit. It's great. Anyway, that's when I started doing more work. That is when I put more serious thought into the whole schizoid thing for myself. 5 years ago, I was like, okay, I heard of this thing. I kind of like resonated with it in certain ways, but like some stuff didn't make sense and some stuff I wasn't sure about. And then I did some digging and went real deep and went, this is the closest shit I can come up with that makes sense. And then it just kind of went from there. I would say most of my improvement has been due to a combination of self-help that is focused on a lot of the ideas in the literature and questioning those ideas, and then also having the privilege of Well, I don't know if it's a privilege since I'm the one that fucking, I guess, made it or whatever. But having the what would it be? Opportunity. There we go. Having the opportunity to talk to as many schizoids as I have, read as much as I have regarding their experiences, watching other zoids that started popping up, like maybe a year or two after I started doing a lot of stuff, watching all the other zoids that had put stuff out there in the past and kind of disappeared, like channels are just dead. Watching people talk about the subject in like really kind of dumb ways that weren't like oftentimes logically consistent or pretended to be answers when a lot of it was just sort of loose hypotheticals, bit like that. Being able to differentiate and study what is the differences between schizoid on a core issue level and like a lot of other conditions that would have overlap and behaviors, all that kind of shit. That's all the shit that I started learning about 4 to 5 years ago, and this is just my personality, and it's something I always keep in mind, right? And I've seen more tenacious zoids make these kinds of judgments. I accept that, like, I'm a fucking psycho. In the sense that, like, I'm not a masochist, but I am if it means like productivity, if it means like improving something, I'm willing to undergo a significant amount of discomfort. Yeah, my sense of obligation, my sense of like responsibility for certain actions and stuff, like it allows me to like undergo more discomfort than I'm guessing the average person. It's probably done its toll. It's definitely taking its toll over time. But the benefit is that I essentially attempted to speed run over the course of 4 years. A lot of things, and yes, it still took 4 years. Still took 4 years to make a lot of these improvements. But I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Right? That's the main difference. Is I was just fucking like I saw like a path, I saw like a route, and I was like, there's something here, there's something fucking here, buddy. And like I just kept like poking and prodding and going, what about this one? This is kind of close to this little path. Well, look at this branch. It's like because I've been recently playing it, I'm trying to get all the achievements, but it was like I was playing like Slay the Princess, but like it was my life. It was like my mind. I was playing Slay the Princess, but with my own brain. And if you know anything about that game, it's got like fucking a crazy amount of paths you can pick. It's a visual novel, but still, and it's very funny sometimes. High suggest. I've been having a good time with it. Very funny. But yeah, but like each time, if you play Slay the Princess, you often get like really bad endings, right? You get like poopy endings. And I don't know, you can make an argument that not necessarily any of the endings are like entirely happy. But there are a lot of them, and a lot of them are painful and not fun. And it felt like I had to like go like, is this the path? And then yeah, I had to go like, is this the path to getting better? And then like, oh, I'm getting stabbed. Oh shit. Like, time to restart. But I think a lot of people, once they hit that, maybe they would have given up, and I wouldn't have blamed them, but I'm stupid. I'm like really stupid and stubborn. And like I have like a weird mentality of like, I'm very much got that Sisyphus mentality thing going of like, one must push the boulder. Like, what else is there to do? One day it will go up. Like, you know, shit like that in my head. And I think I gained some traction when I started seeing certain improvements in my like emotional range, or other shit like that. And I was like, ooh. Like every time I found a new clue, I was like, ooh, what is that? But instead of going like, I found it, it's the truth, like, you know, because my brain would want to do that. I'm like, oh shit, it's so desperate to get out of certain thoughts. I'd be like, all right, that's a thing. Keep that in mind. That's a thing. And then so on and so forth, right? Till eventually I scratched out a fucking route that worked for me pretty well after about 4 years of this stuff. Somehow balancing out a full-time job. Yes. Don't ask me, man. I don't know. I'm just fucking stupid and crazy. But like I said, it's taking its toll. But I want to make sure that as much as it's taking its toll, I want to get like all the juiciest parts of it, and then make like a map of not necessarily, there's no straight direction. That's fucking stupid. But there's like, yeah, you want to go this way, but like you got a few choices here, but you know, like these 3 choices, these kind of work. These other 15, you stay the fuck away from those. That shit don't work at all. But one of these 3, that's a good one. And then there's going to be 2 more that branch after that. You know, like that. Like, I'd rather give a narrower map to somebody that's looking for a map. And that's kind of what I'm working toward. And I'm not grandiose enough to think that I don't require other people to do it. I absolutely require the Zoids. I require the attention from professionals and academics that are interested in these subjects, which is incredibly hard to do. And luck, a little bit of luck and pluck. Maybe I can get something worked out that other Zoids can get and go, oh yeah, this guide looks pretty all right, but there's some stuff in here I would do different. Like that's kind of like how I feel about it. That's like the path I want to like map out, is one where like I want Zoids to look at it and go, yeah, no, that looks pretty good, but let's change this. I don't like that one. Let's give that one a shot, but let's have a backup plan here. Yeah, I mean, it's all right. It's missing some stuff right here. I would do this one different, but yeah, I can make this work. That's what I want. That's all I want. That is the best I could hope for, as a life goal. That's my life goal. Christ. It was like some rudimentary path, like scribbled out with crayon, but at least it's a path. At least it's something, man. If there is like a better path, like a more direct or more narrow path, it's not, I'm not finding it. I'm not that guy. I'm just going to offer what I want to offer what I've found to people that are more competent than me. Which oftentimes is other Zoids that are doing like similar things. They have similar levels of tenacity and insanity as myself. Because the path to improvement has to be less painful, less arduous, less horrible. It's still going to be not so fun, but it's just got to be way less shitty than this. And so it's about min-maxing it. It's sort of the difference if like you're playing like a Souls game or something, you know, like what I'm talking about. But if you're playing like a Souls game, like the first, thousands of people that like get it and start like grinding it like day one, the hardcore motherfuckers are gonna be the ones that like write the weird like game facts. Well, I'm dating myself. Game facts. The Steam guides. They're gonna be the guys that are like on the Reddit, typing up theories and ideas as to like, what could this be? And then there's like 20 other guys that are like, have you tried this? Have you tried that? And like, Imagine if that's how everyone had to play these games. A lot of people would be like, fuck this. I don't have time for this. This is like too much. I'm tired. I can't do this shit. Right. But there are some people that are like, I can do this. I'm gonna and they fucking they'll put in like what could be done in 40 hours, they put in like 300 hours because they went in blind. You get what I'm saying? Um, I think a lot of us could do that for different things. And that's where like we can shine. Blah, blah. But I guess my point in that is that I want to make a guy, I want to make I want to make the questions and the things that allow for a guide to eventually be created that's a lot better than whatever the fuck I'm saying and doing. Um, and that could actually be a lot more just better constructed. The insane ramblings of a madman being turned into like a properly written book would be nice. Where they edit out all the shit I was wrong about, stupid. That would be cool. Created by the very people that deal with it. I'm never gonna write a book. I am not writing a book. I promise you, I will never write a book. Unless it's something where like I co-wrote it because I found something way better at writing and putting ideas together and then going like, oh man, all these things you said, I'll write the book. You just talk. I'll be like, yeah, I could do that. And then they can give me like a credit, like at the bottom corner. It's like Schizoid contributions. Well, if they want to just fuck me over and just like not give me any credit, it's okay too. Because then I'd see the book and I'd be like, yeah, people are using it. And I know I did something. That's all I need to know. You go fuck if everybody else. That's not the point. That's not what gives me peace of mind. Not at all. We need to create a life path with cheap LLMs. What could possibly go wrong? Hell yeah. Let's do that. Yeah, hell yeah. Let's make a shit coin. Let's make the Zoid coin. That shit's gonna moon. Fucking dumb, dude. Oh, crypto bros make me so sad. They're so sad. So sad, people. AI bros make me sad too. Yeah, that shit's gonna hit a wall. I mean, it's gonna be around forever, but they underestimate the ability of people wanting things that humans made for the sake that it's made by humans. Like that shit is so important. That's such a fundamental thing to the human experience, no matter who you are. And some people are far more sensitive to it than others. But yeah, that AI girlfriend, that shit's gonna be really cool for like 3 or 4 years, and then you're gonna get really fucking sad. So have fun with that. Have fun with your AI friends, your AI doctors, and your AI art. It's goofy, man. It's so silly. It's like people forgot. I know I'm going off on a tangent. I'm done with the other stuff. Unless you have questions, then I'll answer them. But I just find it really goofy that people think that like even the artists are like, oh my god, I'm gonna lose my job. Look how good the art's getting. It's like, okay, if your goal is to be like a corpo artist, like if you want to be a corpo that makes art, yeah, you better fucking do some AI shit now. But if you're like an indie artist, if you're like somebody that like is making art for the sake of your passion for it and like people resonate with your work, that's always key. It's just if people resonate with it. If they don't, then you're gonna be a starving artist. If they do, then you'll be a less starving artist. I would say an artist that's doing it for the art is happy as long as they like live without having to constantly worry about bills. I think that's enough for a lot of artists. If it's not enough, if your goal of making art is to make a ton of money, then art was never your goal. That's my hot take. But um but anyway, yeah, so there's always going to be a niche audience. There's always going to be an audience of people that are like I want shit that's not made by AI. That shit's whack. It's gonna lack the warmth. It's just the idea. Just the idea for most humans that this shit was not made with someone that experiences reality the way they do is going to be enough for them to go like, I don't know about this one. They're going to feel manipulated and some intuitive level. And some people are going to be much more sensitive to that than others. Absolutely. I know it's just like a, what do you call it? Like bullshit metaphysical crap. But I am a schizospec type person, so uh professional chess players still exist. Hell yeah. You want to play against another human. You don't want to play against the fucking thing that didn't have to go through the pain and agony of like developing a skill and go head to head with them. Why would you want to do that? An AI beating you at your job is just an AI beating you at your job, not at your meaning, not at your goals. It's just the action that is being taken. And even then, it's ultimately going to be lacking in a variety of ways. For human beings, it's going to be lacking for humans. Yes, it is a subjective experience. It's not that complicated. Yes, it's going to be more efficient. But when it comes to certain things, yeah, humans aren't going to just be looking for efficiency. They want authenticity. They want sincerity. They want honesty. They want a person that has undergone difficulty, pain, hardship, and overcome. They're going to want that shit in the thing that's being made. It's getting better technically. That's it. It's never going to somehow create out of the ether that it's actually like the only way it could do it is if it tricks everyone into thinking that it's a person. But the moment anybody finds out that it's not, that's just going to get tossed down the drain. So yes, once we hit a point in which you can't differentiate, then you might have like a problem. But then if humans start noticing, oh shit, I can't differentiate, they're just going to start like making like art scenes where they're only in person. Like it'll be like in person only art scenes. Where it's like, yeah, I don't trust anything on the internet. It could all be fake. So we now need to see each other in person and look at art in a booth on paper. Like, I think that's the lengths that humans will go to get something authentic and sincere. They will go to those lengths. That is my belief. So it's probably just going to create like a weird underground fucking black market of art or some shit. Yeah, cool. That's what I'm saying. Like, if it gets that good, if the voices and the video and like it gets so good that like you could just like log on to Discord and be like, hey, let's VC, and then like 3 out of the 5 people you're talking to are like AI, and you can't tell, and they have a camera and everything, and they just look like a normal guy or something. Yeah, if you discover, oh shit, that's a problem now, people are gonna like start doing other shit. They're gonna start like having like one like peer, I don't know if it's peer to peer, but like it would be like forms of like communication that essentially would make them incompatible to whatever would allow an AI to be able to get into it, and then they would start using that. And if it got bad enough, then they would just start being like, okay, no more internet, bye bye, because that's how much a human being wants. I keep hearing shit. That's how much a human being wants authenticity. Um, Not all human beings. Some are just a bunch of fucking gooners and they give a fuck, bunch of sophists. Then yeah, I guess those people will be just fine because they'll be like, well, if I believe it's true, then it is, and that's it. And they're gonna like make sure their head stays buried in the sand so they don't find out what's not real because then that would make it less fun. or some dumb shit. Dude, I work with AI, like that's my job. Like I work with AI training like every fucking day. You know, like 5, 6 days a week. And like I'm working on shit that's like, ooh, it's current. And I'm still like I guess if you're like super not perceptive, you'll just be fooled. I mean, to me, that's the equivalent of like a not to shit on them, but like a senile old person getting like a shitty bot on the phone and then believing it's a real person. Oh, do you want my credit card? Oh, you're saying the bank's gonna tow my car? Oh, like like that's 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 how I see it. I guess you just what's real when you live in a simulation? Active research, the edgiest fucking chat. I'm kidding. But yeah, I know. I get that. That's fine. We don't know if it is. Just think it really might be. Nah, nah. Anyway, guys, I'm done. Um, thanks a lot. Please, before you leave, listen to this. If you like my work, if you like the shit I do, if you think it's helpful, if you think I'm a fucking idiot, you're like, oh my god, Schizoid Ants, all your takes are absolutely fucking retarded. Um, but for some reason you still want to help me out. I have a Patreon, I have PayPal, and I don't care if it's $5 or $1 million. It's all good and it's all helpful. And I'm gonna keep doing it no matter what. I'm gonna keep doing it like regardless. Unless it just becomes so unsustainable, it's like destroying my life. Not even my life, my children's. It's affecting my children's lives and my wife's life. Like if it turns into that, then yeah, I'm gonna have to go bye-bye. But if it doesn't turn into that, then I'm just gonna keep chugging along and I'm gonna keep doing it to the best of my ability. And I'd rather not slow down too much. So your support obviously makes that a lot easier to not slow down. Anyway, all right. Thanks a lot, guys. I might be on the server later. I don't know. If you have questions about anything I talked about, if you want to give me your peace of mind, I'm down. Um, just don't come at me with some bad faith bullshit because I will fucking slap your ass with nothing but my voice. But I just hate that shit. So, but if you have like sincere arguments and ideas that you want to like fucking hash out, you want to like whatever, I'm down. I mean, I don't know if I nailed it, but I hope it makes more sense now when I talk about improvement. I'm hoping improvement once it gets better and more streamlined and therapists and stuff are working with like, oh, this is like the approach and more shit gets like researched and like I'm hoping like schizoid improvement will take like 2 years. I'm thinking like 2 years before like small like good little steps start happening, like 2 years. Like that's only if it gets like really like it gets decent, like 2 years. It's not gonna be some shit where like you're gonna go through a 6 month course and you're gonna come out feeling like a fucking 100% certified normie. Like it's just that's not gonna fucking happen. And I think one of the most important things that needs to be done is, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but that needs to be looked into is that I think a lot of what makes schizoids weird isn't that they're schizoids. I think a lot of what makes them weird, um, well, a lot of what makes them isolated and averse to interpersonal relationships is definitely zoidy, but a lot of what makes those things difficult to begin with before they go win all full zoid, I think is neurodivergency. I absolutely think it's some autism, ADHD, schizo spectrum type shit going on. I think that's one of the and it's going to be different for every zoid. Some zoids are going to be more like this, some zoids are going to be more like that, but they're all fucking, they have some cognitive differences that make their world really hard to attach to and connect to on like a fundamental level early in life. It's not because mommy and daddy were narcs that you're turned to a schizoid. It's because mommy and daddy were narcs that you're probably a schizoid that is also incredibly anxious and a bunch of other stuff and prone to like other comorbidities. But I don't think having narc parents is what makes a schizoid. Because if that was the case, we'd have a lot more schizoids in this. All right, peace out, guys. And as usual, when day is dark, always remember, happy day.